This is the only place on your Echo device where you can watch and listen to live shows and chat with hosts in real time. I'm Anthony Davis. This is The Anthony Davis Show, and you can catch me here live every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern, and you can get involved with the show by sending a chat. You can ask questions, chime in on what we're talking about, or anything else you want to send our way. If you can see me right now, you're watching on an Echo show or Fire TV. The magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. And if you're just listening right now on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv and click join the chat. Easy. Thank you to you for joining the chat already. Stacey's in, Vacuum's here already in New York State. Both are subscribed. You can subscribe too by hitting the subscribe button. Lots to talk about today. It's Friday, so we're going to give you the chance to win a $25 Amazon gift voucher, a certificate, or a coupon, whatever you choose to call it. All you have to do is stay tuned to the second hour of the program. Carla, could you clean your lens on your phone? You're literally, it's like, this is how they used to shoot movie stars in the 1940s through a what have you been doing to that thing? Have you dipped it in Vaseline? It's at the top. It's moisturizer. There's something going on. The producer's screen is like it's at the very top. It's at the very top. Yeah, there we go. That's not the camera. That's the wrong side. The camera's on the front, at the top, above the pictures. Above the pictures. There we go. near the earphone. There we go. That's the camera. There you go. Oh, wow, look. Completely different person. It's always good to give your camera a little clean, you know? If you're thinking about it now, just give it a little wipe down. It's life-changing. It looked like she was on the planet Hoth just then. Yeah, the phone needs to stay clean. Do you know they reckon there's more germs on a computer keyboard than there is on a toilet seat? And I always find that quite disgusting, you know? Quite disgusting. So, anyway, now I try and use the computer keyboard to go to the toilet on. A few reminders that we have got some amazing subjects to discuss today. We're going to look at the American basketball star Brittany Griner's pre-trial detention in Russia has been extended for 1 month. Elon Musk said his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter is on hold. That's after he queried the number of fake or spam accounts on the social media platform. I mean, is that not just an excuse? I mean, you knew before you agreed to buy it that there were, a third of the accounts were fake or spam or bots. You knew that. This sounds like he's backing out of it. I'm going to take a wager now. Should we do a wager? He's not going to buy Twitter. It's not going to happen. There's too much at stake now. You know, he's had too much criticism, and he's just not the right man for it. And, basically it's just another publicity stunt that cost him $1 billion. I wonder how Twitter will spend the $1 billion that they are going to have to charge him as a fine. I wonder if they could send it straight to Ukraine. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Hundreds have been forced to evacuate from their homes due to a swift-moving wildfire in Southern California that has torched 20 mansions so far. So, I don't have a huge amount of sympathy for mansions, I'll be honest. But I mean, hopefully they have insurance and these people can afford to stay in a hotel. I get more worried when it goes through very poor neighborhoods and people are left with nothing. I'm sure the people whose mansions are in this beautiful countryside have also got other homes. On this day in 1913, the conservation movement was launched in the United States. So we'll look at that story as well. So lots to look at. Vacuum says, looking forward to my $25 Amazon certificate! Yes. Well, fingers crossed it'll be you. Fingers crossed it'll be you. But you're already subscribed. So, I thought you won on Wednesday's show, Vacuum. I don't know that you can win again so soon. You'll have to win when we run out. Oh, yes, Ella in Ohio, thank you for listening. If you would like to watch us on an Echo Show or Fire TV, you have even more chance of winning, so maybe you could do that if you've got those devices. A reminder that if you'd like to send a message, like Vacuum has done, and you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo Show or a Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. If you're listening on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv and click on Join the Chat. That's backchannel.tv. Click Join the Chat. Easy. Okay, let's go into some of our morning papers because we have newspapers to review. Brand new day. Endurable Llama has just joined us for the first time. Welcome to you on your Echo Show device. Great to see you. Stick around, $25 Amazon gift voucher to win in just a little while, so stay with us for that. Stevens Point Journal leads with, I'm very scared. SPASH students hold a rally in support of abortion rights. Yes, local high school students join the ranks of thousands protesting nationwide in the wake of a leaked U.S. Supreme Court draft opinion that could upend abortion rights. Upward of 120 students walked out of classes at Stevens Point Area Senior High on Thursday as part of a protest organized by Regan Robinson, incoming president of the Gender and Sexuality Alliance at SPASH. The walkout was planned in the spirit of other protests across the country that are occurring in response to the leaked draft of the majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, Robinson said. The opinion, possibly coming in June, could overturn the 1973 landmark abortion and privacy decision in Roe v. Wade. So, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about how America is not even going to sit on a list of other kind of democratic countries anymore. You know? If you take away rights from women, I mean, more rights. Women already have very few rights compared to men. You only have to look to the workplace to see that happening in the US. To remove the rights to your own body is like such a fundamental right. America is going to lose its standing in the world immediately. You know, as a modern democracy, it will just not be on the list of modern free democracies if women don't have the right to choose. Oh yes, the free school lunches for children is being stopped in some Republican states as well. We'll be looking at that story as well. I mean, it really is frightening, isn't it? It's just frightening. Yeah. Force you to have children, and then we will do nothing to care for them. I have a friend, actually, a neighbor who I was chatting to yesterday, who's from Oklahoma. But he's been living in California for 10 years, and now he's thinking of moving to Miami, mainly because of the tax breaks. He reckons he can save a fortune in tax if he goes to Miami. And I was like, yeah, but like no one's got any rights there. You know, you sure you want to live in a state where they refuse to teach children about race or about the history of race or the history of slavery? Or he's like, yeah, you've got a point. But you see, fundamentally, a lot of it comes down to money. And people, the bottom line is everything, especially for the wealthy. You know, the wealthy put their dollars and their tax dollars ahead of human rights, women's rights, civil rights. They just do. It's all about the cash. I mean, I've always been of the opinion of that once you we all know what our standard is. You know, the standard, I like to live quite affordably. You know, I'm not an extravagant person. But even if I was very wealthy, I would not really change anything. You know, I wouldn't change my car. I wouldn't change my apartment. I just wouldn't. Because I recognize what is important in life are people, freedom, time, family, not great riches. And the moment that you have a huge house or several huge houses, it's more stress. Like I just like a very simple, stress-free existence. And I automate everything. Everything is automated in my house. You know, the lights come on at the same time. I try and have everything on solar where possible. I'm a very environmentally conscious person, but I also reduce my workload on things that I don't need to do. And I just feel like the people that have too much money end up causing too much stress for themselves in many ways. You create too much stress for yourself. And I've seen this with people who have holiday homes, So I never understood once Airbnb came along, why would anybody want to own a holiday home? Have to maintain a place, far away that they hardly ever go to. Just use Airbnb and go to a different place every time. What is this obsession with having a second property? This kind of concept of ownership. I just don't get it. So I really feel like having less is better for us as humans. And then we can treat ourselves more. Now, my microphone collection, Carla, is a hobby. That is a lifelong hobby. I've been collecting the microphone since I was a child. That is not. It's not excessive. It's just that people have collections. People collect stamps, or they collect figurines, or they collect tchotchkes. I just happen to collect microphones. Just have a few, not many, just a few. Where does your food come from? New education centre in Plover aims to promote agriculture. This is interesting. A local agriculture foundation plans to connect people with the food they eat through a new educational centre in Plover. Farming for the Future Foundation, which was established in 2018, broke ground last month on its new food and farm exploration centre. The centre will stand on 24 acres of land of South Pakowa, between Hoover Avenue and Interstate 39. It's scheduled to open next summer. According to its website, the foundation works to promote agriculture, education, and help people understand where their food comes from. So there we go. That's how the Stevens Point Journal starts its morning this morning. Oh, Vacuum said, I just got my gift card. Thank you. Oh, that's great. So pleased that it works. The system works, Okay, next we'll go on to the Mail Tribune for Oregon. Oregon. Return of the rodeo. Pro wranglers from near and far flock to Central Point for first Wild Rogue Pro Rodeo in 3 years. I don't know about this. From knowing the pitch-perfect sound guy to top-quality soil, a woman with decades of rodeo experience is sweating all the details for you to ensure the first Wild Rogue Pro Rodeo since 2019 has the same electric, dirt-stomping energy fans remember. Her name's Caroline Ryder, the Jackson County Expo Rodeo Committee Chair and Fair Board Liaison, said the ground in the indoor arena has been worked on no less than 4 times this week with the indoor Seven Feathers event center at the Expo to ensure the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association sanctioned event running through Saturday has soft ground that keeps the athletes and the animals safe. Oh, I see, because when they get thrown off, they need to land on soft ground. I see. Well, that's exciting. I've not been to a rodeo. I mean, the closest I've been to a Saddle Ranch bar where they have a kind of bucking bronco in the middle of the restaurant. Do you know about the Saddle Ranch? It's like a bar where they have a bucking bronco, and so you sit and drink, and you watch people get on this bucking bronco surrounded by bales of hay, and you just watch people like either throw up, or because they've been drinking, or just like fall off and get a minor injury. It's kind of fun, and also people's clothes come off. I really noticed that when I was there. Like people they're not dressed for a bucking bronco, and so before you know it, they're barely wearing anything. It's kind of fun. It's a bar in Hollywood. I'm sure there's other saddle ranches or similar bars, where they have bucking broncos inside. Lots of fun. Damien's just joined us as well. Welcome, Damien, in Maryland. Nice to know that you're listening for the first time. I'm Anthony. This is Backchannel, and we are looking through some of the newspapers that are presenting themselves for various countries, cities and states. We were just in Wisconsin, then Oregon. Now we're going to New Jersey, and Maybe you would like us to review your newspaper in Maryland. We'd be very happy to do that. Historic 1876 Stillwater General Store is for sale on the front of the Daily Record this morning. The building would continue to house the Stillwater Post Office. I mean, it's a beautiful building, a general store in business for nearly 150 years. It's for sale following restoration efforts to keep the historic building a staple of the community. Racial justice group sues 30 towns in New Jersey. A non-profit set out on a mission to inform residents about racial injustice in their town and sued 30 municipalities to do so. Rise Against Hate, founded in 2020, has filed lawsuits against 30 towns throughout the state, including Chatham, that have denied its record requests seeking the email addresses of residents who are signed up for municipal emails. Ben Shaw, co-founder and director of Rise Against Hate, said the organization doesn't want to access people's first and last names, just the emails, in order to reach out to residents and let them know what is happening in their town. Shaw said those who would receive the emails would have the option to unsubscribe. Shaw compared the Open Public Records Act request to door-to-door canvassing. He said requesting the emails from municipalities is safer in the time of COVID. So there we go. Shaw said the non-profit plans to create a study similar to one done on the Cherry Hill Police Department's use of force and marijuana policing and use it to inform residents throughout New Jersey about civil rights and racial injustice. According to Rise Against Hate study, black people in Cherry Hill were almost 9 times more likely to have force used against them than white people. So there we are. That's the reality. America. Gas prices rise to new high. It says Ukraine, sanctions, the coronavirus, Memorial Day travel. Whatever the reasons, gas prices are ticking up to record highs in New Jersey. Why do they not mention profit? I just don't understand why they don't do that. Ukraine, sanctions, the coronavirus, Memorial Day travel. What about the biggest one? Profit. How is it at all possible that the likes of these gas companies, these refineries, have made more money in the last year than ever before? How is that possible? It's profit. They put their prices up and they make profit. When it's convenient to say, oh, it's Ukraine, that's when they put their prices up. You know? It's a little bit like the stock market. When the stock market crashes, you don't go, oh no, I've lost all my shares. You buy more shares. Do the opposite. That's what the refineries do. You know, distraction over here, reap the benefits over here. It says there are ways to save in the weeks ahead and get the most out of your summer travel budget, say financial experts and travel industry officials. Figures by AAA show the average gas price in New Jersey was $4.49 a gallon as of Wednesday, when crude oil prices fell below $100 a barrel. The average cost of a gallon of gas in New Jersey was $4.08 1 month ago, $3.03 this time last year. As of Wednesday, the average gas price was $4.46 a gallon in Bergen County, $4.47 in Passaic County, $4.40 in Sussex, $4.54 in Essex, and $4.51 in Morris County. So there you go. I mean, I've said before and I'll say it again. Gas prices were too cheap before. They were just too cheap. It's a fossil fuel, for goodness sake. You know? It's a fossil fuel. So, consequently, it should be expensive to encourage us not to use it. There are other ways to get around. You ever heard of a horse? You know, you could ride straight into that rodeo and, you know, do a kind of double trouble. Oh yeah, the electric scooters are everywhere here. We have 2 companies. One's called Birds and the other one's called something else. And people just leave them anywhere and people jump on the scooters. And it's kind of clever. I'm traveling to London in a few weeks' time, and I'm just working out how I'm going to get around. And I discovered that the app that we use here, called Turo. Do you know about Turo? Turo. It's an app that enables you to drive other people's cars, right? So if you have a car that you don't use very often, you just pop it on the Turo app, and people can rent it. And Turo covers the insurance and covers all the arrangements and the payments, and you basically price your car. So you can get a car as cheaply as like $20 a day, or you could rent a supercar. You know, if someone's got a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, they could put it on for $500 or $600 a day, and people will rent it. It's a really good idea. It's the sharing economy for driving. So I'm thinking that that's probably how I'm going to be getting around, you know, in a city where I don't have any kind of jurisdiction anymore, is on the on the Turo. Because, you know, Uber got very expensive all of a sudden. Just did. Hugely expensive. Okay, No Name's joined us. Hi, No Name. You can change your name if you want to. You can just tell your device, ask your device to change your name if you'd like to have a real name or a fake name, just not No Name. And then I'll know who you are. Finland moves towards joining NATO is the headline. Kremlin reacts by warning it will be forced to take retaliatory steps. Finland's leaders on Thursday came out in favor of applying to join NATO, and Sweden could do the same within days. In an historic realignment of the continent 2.5 months after Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine sent a shiver of fear through Moscow's neighbors. I mean, shouldn't everyone who's not Russia join NATO? I mean, isn't that like the way to go? The way to go, NATO? Everyone who's not Russia, join NATO. I mean, obviously Ukraine has applied. On the ground, Russian forces pounded areas in central, northern and eastern Ukraine, including the last pocket of resistance in Mariupol, as part of its offensive to take the industrial Donbass region, while Ukraine captured some towns and villages in the northeast. The first war crimes trial of a Russian soldier since the start of the conflict is set to open Friday in Kiev. A 21-year-old captured member of a tank unit is accused of shooting to death a civilian on a bicycle during the opening week of the war. Finland's president and prime minister announced that the Nordic country should apply right away for membership in NATO, the military defense pact founded to part counter the Soviet Union. So there we are. That's how the Daily Record looks this morning. Alex has joined us. Hello, Alex. Welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for being part of Backchannel. If you want to tune in on an Echo show, then you can see us and you can subscribe and all of those things as well. A reminder to you that I'm Anthony Davis. This is Backchannel. And if you're enjoying the show, you can support the show by hitting subscribe. That'll let you know when we're going live. And we've also got some plans coming up in the next few weeks for those who are subscribed. Another way you can help out is no matter where you're watching or listening is by leaving a review. So just go to backchannel.tv and click Leave a Review. Your positive reviews help keep this show going. That's backchannel.tv. Click Leave a Review. I'm Anthony Davis. Welcome to Backchannel. Monday through Friday, 9 till 11, I'm here. That's 12 till 2 Eastern. And if you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo show, wake her up, say the word say, and then your message to message me. And if you're listening on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, you can go to backchannel.tv and message me from there. That's backchannel.tv. Super easy. Heartbreaking Elephant has just joined us for the very first time. Welcome to you, Heartbreaking Elephant. That's such a good name, isn't it? If you want to go to backchannel.tv, like I just mentioned, you can message the program as well. We're looking through the morning papers. We were just at... where were we just at? We've done that one. We've done that one. Have we done the Daily Record? Yes, we did the Daily Record. Right, let's move on to the Journal News for Ohio this morning. $10 million for county-wide broadband. Butler commissioners look to use federal money to give more people true, reliable, high-speed access. You know, you forget, if you live in a metropolis or a city like I do in Los Angeles, where we have reasonably decent broadband, you forget that in rural areas, people don't not just have access to broadband, they don't have access to decent food, you know, to fresh fruit and vegetables. There's not supermarkets or farmers markets. And in some places, I was finding out about Florida the other day, they'll set up a farmers market and they'll just go, the people who are selling will actually just buy the vegetables from cheap supermarkets. You know, like misshapen vegetables from Food for Less or, you know, the cheap supermarkets. And then they'll put them in cardboard boxes and make it look like they're, you know, just been dug out the ground and sell them at a farmer's market. this is the reality now, Overdose deaths in the US hit a record last year. More than 107,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year, setting another tragic record in the nation's escalating overdose epidemic, the CDC said. Fentanyl, cocaine, and meth all played a role in the increase. What else? Court weighs contempt ruling for Ohio leaders in MAPS issue with the Ohio Supreme Court. Will the Ohio Supreme Court find the state's top officials in contempt of its orders? Well, that answer will depend in part on filings made Thursday by members of the Ohio Redistricting Commission, seeking to explain why justices shouldn't or should issue a contempt ruling for commissioners' failure to approve new state house and Senate district maps by a May 6 deadline. So there we go, that's good. Fairfield hires Murphy as new assistant city manager, and grand jury probing Trump's handling of documents. Okay, so there we go. That's the journal news. What else do we have? That was Ohio. Let's go to South Carolina now. Citizen Times. Alleged victim of deputy assault begs not to see video. This was the former deputy Tyler McDonald bows his head in the Buncombe County Courthouse before his trial on May 10. It's the second day of an assault trial. The law enforcement officer was marked by very high emotion as the alleged victim begged to leave the court and not watch the body camera video, and the former deputy wept when talking about the loss of a job he wanted all his life. Taking the stand May 11 in Buncombe County Superior Court were ex-deputy Tyler McDonald, who's facing a misdemeanor assault charge that could end his law enforcement career, and Jamie Belson, an East Asheville resident who said he was still traumatized from the early morning of October 5th, 2020, an encounter with law enforcement at a Tunnel Road gas station. Pilot down, passenger takes over with no idea how to fly. We covered this story yesterday. It was kind of amazing, really. This guy who'd never flown before got talked down by a flying instructor in the tower. And finally, Council okays millions for COVID-19 relief recipients. This is Asheville City Council. They voted to award 18 organizations millions in a new round of American Rescue Act Plan COVID-19 relief funding. So there we go. That's the Citizen Times for you. If you are from somewhere, heartbreaking elephant, and you would like us to review your local paper, you can. Same goes for Alex or Damien or Endurable Llama or Vacuum. Just let us know what you would like us to look at and talk about, and we can do exactly that. Okay, let's jump to North Carolina now and the Free Press. They lead with Pandemic Summit. As sense of urgency wanes, Biden urges world and U.S. leaders to renew fight against COVID. Addressing the second global pandemic summit, Joe Biden appealed to world leaders on Thursday for a renewed international commitment at attacking COVID-19. 8 months after he used his first such summit to announce an ambitious pledge to donate 1.2 billion vaccine doses to the world, the sense of urgency in the U.S. and other nations to respond has waned. With the U.S. approaching 1 million deaths from the virus, Biden issued a proclamation directing that U.S. flags be flown at half-staff through sunset on Monday to honor those who lost their lives to the virus. It's still happening, still going on. I'm very happy to keep my mask on, as I have been. Went into various stores yesterday and I was fully masked, and, a few people were. Staff less so now, and I find that a bit strange. I just would have thought that the staff would want to be masked, but, it's each to their own now, isn't it? So people feel like they're vaccinated and it doesn't really matter. I'm not surprised either. I feel like if you work a retail job where you're having to wear your mask for 8 hours a day, it's different for me because I just put it on for a few minutes here and there. But if you wear it all day, it's not fun. It really isn't. It's just not one of those things. Okay, Oscar winner Ariana DeBose to host 75th Annual Tony Awards. Why do I not know who she is, Ariana DeBose? She studied dance as a child in New Bern, adding another major accomplishment to her resume. She's an Oscar-winning actress. She's going to host the Tony Awards, set to air on June 12th. According to a news release from the Broadway League and the American Theatre Wing, the live broadcast, which recognizes the best of Broadway, is expected to last 3 hours. In January, DeBose won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Anita. Oh, she was Anita in West Side Story. I know who she is now. She also earned a British Academy Film Award, a Critics' Choice Music Award, a Golden Globe Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Supporting Actress. Do you know, I have now watched Steven Spielberg's West Side Story 5 times. I think it's kind of wonderful. Yeah, she plays the role that Rita Moreno originally played, and she's also in the new movie. DeBose was a past nominee for the coveted Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Musical in 2018 for her role in Summer, the Donna Summer musical. She first made history by becoming the first openly queer Afro-Latina person to win an acting Oscar. So there we go. She is so good in West Side Story. So good. And I mean, I'm just so impressed, increasingly impressed by people. New North Carolina governor reveals what he wants to do with $6 billion surplus. He's proposed that North Carolina government spend or earmark much of a projected $6.2 billion surplus to address further a host of needs like building construction, education inequities, affordable housing, and worker retention. The Democratic governor unveiled his recommended adjustments to the second year of a 2-year budget lawmakers approved, and he signed last fall. That's good. Higher pay for state employees and teachers beyond what the enacted budget already directs. That's great to have a surplus, you know? Cloudy B's popped in for the first time. Hi, Cloudy B. Welcome to Backchannel. I'm Anthony. We are looking through some of the papers and discussing what's happening. Five has said hello and has joined us as well. Stacy says some retail stores in Texas don't have masks on either. I would beg to suggest that maybe almost all retailers in Texas are not wearing masks. But, I'd be interested for your knowledge on the ground there, if you have some. Okay, next up, what do we have here? The Silver City Sun News for Mexico. Okay, they lead this morning with Silver City Sun News. Cost of fighting New Mexico wildfires reaches $65 million. I mean, these wildfires are unprecedented, one of the biggest wildfires in American history. And howling winds, erratic flames, New Mexico's governor said on Tuesday, the risk of more destruction is high and the long-term costs of recovering from the massive blaze will soar. This is Michelle Lujan-Grisham. She said during a briefing that she's not received any reports in recent days of widespread damage to homes amid the latest round of fierce winds that fanned the blaze and created challenges for firefighting crews. So, crews have been trying to direct flames around homes in numerous small villages on the northern and southern ends of the fire, bulldozing fire breaks, putting up sprinklers, clearing trees and raking pine needles. A force of nearly 1,800 firefighters and support personnel are assigned to the blaze, including specially trained teams. The cost of fighting the blaze and another smaller fire burning near Los Alamos National Laboratory has topped $65 million. Look, wildfire is caused, as we know, by various things, but they are encouraged by climate change. I think in this case, this was a specific burn that was done by authorities, and it caught on to another area. Not ideal, 320 square miles now it's burned. 300 structures, including homes, have been burned since it started last month. A federal disaster has already been declared due to the blaze, which is partly the result of a preventable fire set in early April that escaped containment. The flames merged with a separate fire a couple of weeks later, and as of Tuesday, the jagged perimeter stretched more than 356 miles. There we are. How much COVID-19 funds will southern New Mexico receive is the question. It says it's been more than 2 years since COVID-19 sent shockwaves through New Mexico and the country, crippling the economy and sparking an unprecedented federal rescue. The pandemic brought a U.S. recession almost as deep as the Great Recession of the 1930s. according to David Abey, director of the New Mexico Legislative Finance Committee, which advises the state legislature on fiscal and public policy matters. And then finally, Biden signs bill to boost New Mexico's outdoor recreation. That's good. Carlsbad's famed hiking trails, fishing holes, and desert vistas will be easier to access after a bill sponsored by New Mexico's senior U.S. senator was signed into law by President Biden. And finally, this is interesting. Do you remember the Alec Baldwin movie where he accidentally shot the camera person, or what they call her, director of photography, the DP? It says a film production company is contesting sanctions by New Mexico officials for alleged workplace safety violations on the set of Rust, where actor and producer Alec Baldwin fatally shot a cinematographer in October, according to filings posted on Wednesday. Rust Movie Productions is challenging the basis of a $137,000 fine against the company by state occupational safety regulators, who say production managers on the set of the Western film failed to follow standard industry protocols for firearms safety. At a ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe on October 21st, Baldwin was pointing a gun at cinematographer Halna Hutchins inside a small church during setup for filming of a scene when it went off, killing Hutchins and wounding the director Joel Souza. Baldwin said in a December interview that he was pointing the gun at Hutchins at her instruction when it went off without his pulling the trigger. The law properly permits producers to delegate such critical functions as firearms safety to experts in that field, and does not place such responsibility on producers, whose expertise is arranging financing and contracting the logistics of the movie. Rust's production said in its filing the company did not willfully violate any safety protocol and in fact enforced all applicable safety protocols. So we'll see how that plays out. You can't bring back this wonderful young cinematographer, sadly. So there we go. That's the Silver City Sun News from New Mexico today, on this day. Thank you for joining us. Stacey said, not all of them in Texas, they don't wear masks. Not all of them choose not to wear masks. Others keep on wearing the mask as it is. Okay, don't quite understand that, but it's not your fault, I'm sure. Okay, let's move on to the Times Union for New York now. Let's see how that's looking. The Times Union. Panicked parents search for food. Stores limit purchases. State warning families to avoid online scams. Yes, for some parents, finding infant formula has turned into a desperate scavenger hunt in the capital region, with the most specialized formulas all but impossible to find. Supply chain problems and a recent recall due to contamination at a factory have left some shelves bare nationwide, causing parents to ask relatives and friends to see if they can find formula and ration how much they are giving their babies for fear supply will run out. Trista Soto of Glenville was down to 1 week's supply of Enfamil Nutramigen, a hypoallergenic formula that has kept her daughter from choking to death with acid reflux. That's the stuff I used to get. Enfamil Nutramigen. That's exactly what my boy used to have, because he also had this, problem with digestion. And that's the one that was so expensive and so impossible to find. Nutramigen. Now it's all coming back to me. I blocked all this period of my life out. But that's the product that I used to give my boy. And it was $40 for a tin. $40 for a tin. And I used to buy 3 tins at a time because I knew that I might not be able to get them. It's very expensive having kids. And they say it costs $1 million to have a child. I'm sure I read that. Absent that formula, she has a digestive condition where she refluxes and stops breathing, literally life-saving. We have had her formula shipped directly to us from a medical supplier since she was 8 weeks old. 2 months ago, the supplier couldn't supply it anymore. January 6 panel had no choice. Here is a story about the committee says refusal to cooperate prompted subpoenas to GOP representatives. Yes, this is great news for democracy. the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol, issued subpoenas on Thursday to 5 Republican members of Congress, including Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader, who had refused to meet with the panel voluntarily. The committee's leaders had been reluctant to issue subpoenas to their fellow lawmakers. That's an extraordinarily rare step. Although the House Ethics Committee, which is responsible for investigating allegations of misconduct by members, is known to do so. The panel said it was demanding testimony from McCarthy of California, who engaged in a heated phone call with Trump during the Capitol violence in 2021, Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, who coordinated a plan to try to replace the acting Attorney General after he resisted Trump's false claims of widespread fraud, Jim Jordan of Ohio, who was deeply involved in the effort to fight the election results, Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona, the former leader of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus, and Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama, who had said Trump had continued to seek an unlawful reinstatement to office for more than a year. All 5 have refused requests for voluntary interviews about the roles they played in the build-up to the attack by supporters of the former president, who believed his lie of widespread election fraud. Well, McCarthy told reporters on Capitol Hill he'd not yet seen the subpoena. He said, "My view on the committee, it's not changed. They're not conducting a legitimate investigation." I mean, how can he say that with a straight face? You know, Biden won by 7 million votes. Okay? Trump is not a good loser. In fact, he's a very bad loser because the people around him told him that he was going to win. And as you know, he cares nothing for the detail. So he thought he was going to win. Turned out he didn't. And he'd already been sowing for a year the idea that there might be fraud if he didn't win, because he was so convinced he would win. And also he didn't like to lose in front of all of these supporters. And he lost. He just lost. And instead of taking the side of democracy, Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan and all of these henchmen, they all pretended that the election was fraudulent. They pretended it was fraudulent to stay friends with Mr. Trump. That's what happened. So, of course, it needs to be investigated. Of course it does. And the fact that there are 2 Republicans, very upstanding Republicans, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, who are on this committee, they are guaranteeing that this is being done properly. You know? The Democrats already won. They have nothing to lose here. You know? The Democrats already won. But the reality is that Trump lied continuously and continues to lie. It's not like he stopped lying or he lied once and they're investigating that. He's still lying now. Kevin McCarthy must think people are stupid. I mean, and also, like, we have videotape, you know? Like, we have videotape of you saying that it was, a legitimate win. You said that out loud. The guy's just an idiot. I mean, he really is. It's like they take partisan to a whole new level. It's almost like in the face of reality, they create this fantasy for themselves, and then people believe it. You're watching Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. We're here every Monday to Friday from 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. If you can see me right now, send me a message via your Echo Show or Fire TV with the magic word "say." So wake up your device, say the word "say," and then your message. If you can't see me, you're listening on an Echo speaker, then go to backchannel.tv and click Join the Chat. That's backchannel.tv and click Join the Chat. You got it. Blind racing tale for the win. Popular story, Slam, set stage for local teller's crowd-pleasing saga. This is a little story about Michael Corso of Albany at a 2019 Story Slam program in Brooklyn, sponsored by the Moth Storytelling Organization, based in part on that performance, which Corso won. He was selected to tell his story about being blind but participating in a stock car race at a main stage program of the Moth on Friday at Troy Savings Bank Music Hall. So that's kind of cool. And COVID scrambling schools plan. Capital Region colleges are taking different approaches to safety at their ceremonies. This is interesting. It says, as COVID cases rise and government mandates end, Capital Region colleges are taking a myriad of approaches to address student and family safety during upcoming graduation ceremonies. College commencements are largely scheduled for this weekend and next, coinciding with upstate New York and much of New England, having the largest area of high risk of coronavirus spread nationwide, according to the CDC. So there we are. That's kind of fun, isn't it? And let's go to the New York Times now. Sounding a bit bunged up. I'm a bit bunged up today. I've not been very well. It's my children, they're so permanently sick, I recover one day and then the next day I get sick again. The New York Times leads with Finland pledges to join NATO, moving alliance to the Russian border. Also a funeral for Maskim Yakovenko, a Ukrainian soldier who was killed by shelling on Thursday in Bucha, northwest of Kiev. And a photograph of a priest tipping the dirt into the open grave. Panel subpoenas 5 in Congress, as we've just been discussing. A demand for McCarthy to testify about January 6. They were desperados and middle schoolers. This is Florida's juvenile system is blamed for failing children in its care. Florida is a great place if you're rich, It really is. I think if you're rich and you don't like paying tax, then Florida, I think, is great. But if you are a child or a female or an ethnic minority or, anything that doesn't fit the mold of Ron DeSantis, then you are basically going to struggle in that state. That's how it feels, certainly. First visual journey into the center of our galaxy. Yes, this is very interesting. It's a photograph of a black hole at the center of the Milky Way. It's the first time it's been photographed. Astronomers announced on Thursday they had pierced the veil of darkness and dust at the center of our Milky Way galaxy to capture the first picture of the gentle giant dwelling there. A supermassive black hole, a trapdoor in space-time, through which the equivalent of 4 million suns have been dispatched to eternity, leaving behind only their gravity and violently bent space-time. The image, released in 6 simultaneous news conferences in Washington and around the globe, showed a lumpy donut of radio emission framing empty space. Oohs and ahs broke out at the National Press Club in Washington when Ferrell Ozell of the University of Arizona displayed what she called the first direct image of the gentle giant at the center of our galaxy. She said, "It seems that black holes like donuts." This is courtesy of more than 300 scientists from 13 institutions that operates an ever-growing global network of telescopes that compose one large telescope as big as Earth. The team's results were published on Thursday in the astrophysical journal Letters. "I met this black hole 20 years ago, and I've loved it and tried to understand it since," Dr. Ozell said, "but until now we didn't have the direct picture." It's very clever, isn't it? If you think about it, all these telescopes all over the globe are taking pictures of the same thing, and then they map all of those pictures together. It's super clever. Anyway, it's nice to know. I don't know about a black hole. It looks more like a bum hole. I mean, I'll be honest. It's a funny-looking thing. It's literally the anus of the world up there. Our solar system was literally like born out of this thing. We were birthed out of that Milky Way. I can't actually look at it anymore. It's a bit disgusting. Should we put it up on the screen? Can we put it up on the screen so people can see how beautiful this donut is at the center of the universe? If you're eating right now, you might want to stop, especially if you're eating donuts. There it is. Look at that. That is the first visual journey to the center of our galaxy. It's a big radioactive donut. Actually, some of the donuts at the donut place that I go to are pretty radioactive. Okay, let's see what else is here. Cryptocurrencies melt down. 300 billion evaporates in days. The price of Bitcoin plunged to its lowest point since 2020. Yeah, I never trusted cryptocurrency, to be honest. Never did. I daren't look at my shares. I've got a few shares, of like silly things. I can't even begin to open the app to look at them. The stock market is in such a bad way right now. I just don't want to look at it. Don't want to look at it. I'm just going to leave it and wait and ride it out. I'm just going to ride it out. A donation to UK Conservatives is traced to a Russian account. I mean, this is quite the story, isn't it? Because Boris Johnson, as we know, is a big fan of the Russians. Very close to people who are, very powerful Russians living in London, or used to live in London. A lot of them have been extradited now. What's the name of the guy that owns the Evening Standard? Is it Labarov? I think it's Labarov. No. Lebdi. There's a Russian who basically owns the Evening Standard newspaper. Lebedev, that's right, Lebedev. And he also owns the Independent newspaper and the I newspaper. He's a very powerful man. And I wonder if he's been extradited yet. Is he still living in London, old Lebedev? Or did they get rid of him in the same way as they got rid of Roman Abramovich? Abramovich owned one of the biggest football teams, soccer teams, Chelsea. And he's now gone to, I think he's in Dubai now, after a brief poisoning. He's now in Dubai. One of the biggest donors to Britain's Conservative Party, suspected of secretly funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars to the party from a Russian account, according to a bank alert filed to Britain's National Law Enforcement Agency. The donation of $630,225 was made in February 2018 in the name of Ehud Sheleg, a wealthy London art dealer who was most recently the Conservative Party's treasurer. The money was part of a fundraising blitz that helped propel Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his party to a landslide victory in the 2019 general election. The documents filed with the authorities last year and reviewed by the New York Times say the money originated in a Russian account of Mr. Sheleg's father-in-law, Sergei Kopytov, who was once a senior politician in the previous pro-Kremlin government of Ukraine. He now owns real estate and hotel businesses in Crimea and Russia. He said, "We are able to trace a clear line back from this donation to its ultimate source," said Barclays Bank. The bank, which maintained some of the accounts used in the transaction, flagged the donation as both suspected money laundering and a potentially illegal campaign donation. There we are. So that's the New York Times for you today. Super fun. Now, a reminder that every Friday I'm giving you the chance to win the $25 Amazon gift voucher. And you can win yours right here. Stacey's with us. Mars is with us. Caring Octopus has just joined in. If you'd like to win the voucher, then stick around. Stay with me. Vacuum's here too. Cloudy B and 5 and Heartbreaking Elephant. Thank you for joining us. So we have a $25 Amazon gift certificate. All you have to do is stay tuned, and in the second hour of the program, all will be revealed. Something to look forward to, eh? It's just the other side of the US news update, which we'll do in a couple of minutes' time. Let me tell you first that Backchannel has a growing list of shows, including Haley and Alison's Good Morning. You can start your morning from 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, with 2 hours of silly fun and games. Haley and Alison and producer Will have trivia, as well as the answers to your burning questions and the news you might have missed. They're followed by Live Every Day with Liv Harrison from 5 a.m. That's 8 o'clock Eastern. You can join Liv every Monday, Wednesday and Friday morning to celebrate the little things in life in an extraordinary way. Candid conversations, lots of laughs and plenty of coffee will fuel you and encourage you to live every other day. And on air just before me is Get On Up with Jam and Renee. You can wake up on the West Coast with community and conscious living. Jam and Renee have it all covered from what people think to who's wearing what. You'll leave entertained and enlightened every day and learn how to pay it all forward. So there we go. Stacey has to go. She's fixing. She has to go take a bath. Her lunch hour's up. Encouraging Chicken has just joined us. Welcome to you. If you would like to go to backchannel.tv, prepare yourself for this quiz, you could win a $25 Amazon voucher to spend on whatever you like. So that's something to look forward to. Just before we give you the chance to win that voucher, we're going to check on the latest US news via the US News Update. It's a daily podcast that I do that enables you to catch up with what's happening across the US. You can download it wherever you get your podcasts. Here it is. It's Friday, May 13. From the Volley Network, this is your daily US News Update. I'm Anthony Davis. In the days after a draft leaked showing the US Supreme Court is poised to strike down Roe v. Wade and a national right to abortion, the left-wing group Move On doubled its weekly fundraising. And on Saturday, hundreds of thousands of protesters are expected to attend more than 300 rallies in a coordinated nationwide demonstration. The court's conservative majority appears set to reverse its 1973 decision that legalized abortion nationwide has galvanized Democrats, raising the party's hopes that the anger on display can be carried into November's midterm elections. This is Trump-era energy, said Raha Epting, executive director, which is helping to organize Saturday's marches. But still close to record highs, and President Joe Biden's approval ratings are reproductive rights organizations and liberal groups face daunting headwinds in trying to convert that surge of enthusiasm into electoral victories. The strategists remain convinced their party is well positioned to retake control of the U.S. House of Representatives. The Republicans won several special elections, including flipping a Democratic state legislative seat last November, months after passing a virtual ban on abortions. Meanwhile, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, the top Republican in the House of Representatives, and 4 other lawmakers received subpoenas on Thursday from the House committee investigating the January 6 attack on the Capitol by Donald Trump supporters. Your daily US news update is part of the Volley Network. To hear my live daily morning show, ask your Amazon Echo device to open Backchannel. There it is, the US News Update. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Anthony Davis, and this is Backchannel. Welcome to hour 2 of the Anthony Davis Show, and thank you to you for joining in. Encouraging Chicken, Stacy, Mars, Caring Octopus, Cloudy Bee, 5, Heartbreaking Elephant, Alex, Damien, Endurable Llama, Vacuum. Thank you for being part of the show today. Just a reminder that every Wednesday and Friday we give you the chance to win a $25 Amazon voucher, and we'll be doing that in just a second. As you know, Backchannel really is the only place where you can chat with live hosts right here on your device. If you'd like to send me a chat and you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo show or a Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake up your device, say the word say, and then your message. If you're just listening right now on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, please go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv. Wunderbar. Okay, let's take a little look now at our competition that we're going to be doing. Something very exciting. It's a great opportunity to win $25 in this Amazon gift certificate. And here's how you enter. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. Well, Carla's going to set a timer for 5 minutes. She's the brains behind this show. And before the 5 minutes is up, you'll need to hit the subscribe button. For those of you using a visual device like an Echo Show, the subscribe button can be found on the bottom left of your screen, and that's it. Then you've entered the competition. Once you've done that, let me know by writing in the chat, "I've subscribed," and I'll pick a new subscriber at random. Reluctant Snail has just popped in as well. So that's how it works. It's as simple as that. If you are somebody who has already subscribed and you haven't left a review, you can also be entered into the competition by leaving a review. You just go to backchannel.tv and click leave a review, and you can send me a message saying, "I've left a review," and then you'll get yourself the $25 Amazon voucher if I pick you at random. So that's how it works. We're going to start the clock in just a moment, and then you will have your opportunity to either subscribe or leave a review and let me know when you have done so. Or we're going to have the roller coaster again. That's exciting. So let's see. how far we get down the roller coaster before we all become violently ill. The 5 minutes has started. Good luck to you. It's underway. Clever, isn't it? Anytime you like. Hit subscribe. $25 Amazon voucher to spend on whatever it is that you like, and there's a lot you can get for that kind. Sarah has messaged, and she's already subscribed. That's well done. Who else is going to be here? Who else is going to subscribe? Just message me via backchannel.tv or via your Echo Show with the words "I've subscribed," and then you will go into the draw, and I will choose somebody at random. So, looking forward to that. There's the countdown. You've got 4 minutes left. And then after this, we're going to look through some more of the morning papers. We've still got the LA Times to look at, the Record Searchlight for California, the Des Moines Register for Iowa, the Town Talk for Louisiana, all to come. And also the Times Union in New York, the Post-Star for New York, and finally the New York Times. So those newspapers are to come here in our conversation. And then we're going to be talking about some stories that have made the headlines in the last 24 hours. Specifically, the WNBA star Brittany Griner to be detained another month in Russia on cannabis charges. A lawyer for the Phoenix Mercury Center expects the case to be tried soon, as the extension is relatively short. So we'll be looking at that story. Also the story about Elon Musk, who says his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter is on hold after he queried the number of fake or spam accounts that were on the platform. So I guess he's got some buyer's remorse, maybe. It's a lot of money to find. Maybe he just can't find the money and is looking for an excuse. I think that's probably more like it, because, it's all very well to be called the richest man in the world, but to actually find the cash is kind of difficult, isn't it? Because, most of your money is tied up in businesses and in properties and in real estate or, futures and the like. So, how long do we have left? 2 minutes, 30 seconds as you continue flying down the roller coaster. And we'll give you the opportunity to subscribe. All you have to do is say, "I've subscribed." Just message and say, "I've subscribed." And you can hit that subscribe button on your Echo Show. You can also leave us a review if you've already subscribed. If you haven't left a review yet, you just go to backchannel.tv and leave a review. Click on leave a review and then message me and just let me know that you've left a review. Well, yeah, Sarah, it says you've written you've subscribed, but I think you have messaged us on the text platform. So, and you can only subscribe with a Fire TV or an Echo Show. So, if you don't have either of those, you can go leave a review, you see. That's how you do it. One minute 20. One minute 10. I like the idea of the host doing a countdown and picking all the wrong numbers to land on, instead of choosing like even numbers. Be like 58 seconds rather than a minute. Do you know what I mean? Come on, everyone. 49 seconds. And then we'll do like the big countdown from 11. So if you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. Redundant Snail and Encouraging Chicken, I think, are both listening, both on an Echo speaker. So you would need to either go to backchannel.tv and leave us a review, and then just let me know that you've left a review, and you can do that at backchannel.tv, as you know. 14 seconds. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Okay. So Carla's going to have a little look through and see who has subscribed, and she'll let me know who our winner is today. And then I will announce it, and then you'll be able to claim your prize. Super easy. This is how it works here on Backchannel, and a little chance for you to kind of raise a little coupon cash. Okay, let's go back to some of the morning papers, and we'll find out who our winner is in just a minute. Because we've also got, where is it? It's a really good one here. Oh yeah, the LA Times. That's what we were going to do next. Let's jump onto that, because I'm in Los Angeles, so we might as well give it a go. They lead with a photograph of the coastal fire racing through an upscale hillside development overlooking the Pacific in Laguna Niguel, and beautiful, kind of estate that's been desecrated. The weather conditions were unremarkable, it says, for coastal Orange County, even somewhat pleasant. Mild temperatures, relatively moist air, and a seasonal onshore breeze. But when firefighters struggled to contain a 50 by 50 foot brush fire on a hillside in Laguna Niguel on Wednesday afternoon, officials grew concerned. Within a few hours, multiple homes were ablaze and spewing hot embers as the coastal fire chewed methodically. Oh, man. I'm tired. Methodically through an upscale development overlooking the Pacific Ocean. By the time the fire spread slowed, at least 20 homes had been destroyed, many of them overlooking the canyon where the fire began. And some photographs here of water being sprayed onto these homes that don't even look like homes. I mean, they're going to have to be demolished. There's literally nothing left. Putin affirms claim to eastern Ukraine as Russia intensifies its attacks, as Finland's leaders announce intent to join NATO. Again, this is bordering countries, you see. This is why it's so important. Putin, in a message released by the Kremlin on Thursday, offered his support to Leonid Pasenchik, the head of pro-Russia separatists in the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic, part of the eastern Ukraine's Donbass region. Coastal officials reject Poseidon proposal. This is regulators voting down a water company's plans for desalination plant for Huntington Beach. Also, student debt waiting game as Biden considers options, many hoping for relief before loan payments resume. I wish he would just get on with this, instead of posturing. I think if you're gonna eradicate student debt, just do it. Don't leave people hanging. It's too hard for people like that. When crypto trading morphs into addiction, interesting story. This, of course, as the cryptocurrency values have dropped. And finally, Edison notifies state of circuit activity. So there we go. That's how the LA Times leads today. The record searchlight for California. Newsom backs plans to pay for some abortions. California taxpayers would help pay for abortions for women who can't afford them under a new spending proposal that Newsom announced on Wednesday to prepare for a potential surge of people from other states seeking reproductive care if the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. California already pays for some abortions through its Medicaid program, the taxpayer-funded health insurance plan for the poor and the disabled. But some women don't qualify for Medicaid and some don't have private health insurance. When that happens, clinics will sometimes perform abortions for free, known as uncompensated care. On Wednesday, Newsom said he wants the state to give $40 million worth of grants to clinics to help offset those costs. It says an abortion can cost between a few $100s and a few $1,000s in California, depending on how far along the pregnancy it is and what kind of insurance a patient has. Oh, man, it's just crazy. Finland looks to join NATO amid threats from Russia, and a photograph of some men standing next to an apartment building damaged by Russian shelling on Thursday in Bakhmut, the Donetsk region. Biden puts focus on baby formula shortage. He speaks with producers, retailers as parents scramble. He's been speaking with manufacturers and retailers about the plight facing families. He discussed with the executives from Mead Johnson and Gerber how they could increase production and how his administration could help, and talked with leaders from Walmart and Target about how to restock shelves and address regional disparities in access to formula, according to the White House. Kremlin warns it will be forced to take retaliatory steps. This is Finland's leaders on Thursday came out in favor of applying to join NATO, and Sweden could do the same within days, in an historic realignment of the continent's 2.5 months after Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine sent a shiver of fear through Moscow's neighbors. The Kremlin reacted by warning it will be forced to take retaliatory military technical steps. On the ground, Russian forces pounded areas in central, northern, and eastern Ukraine, including the last pockets of resistance in Mariupol as part of its offensive to take the industrial Donbas region, while Ukraine recaptured some towns and villages in the northeast. So there we go. That's it's a very interesting kind of turn of events. I mean, this is what politics is, isn't it? You know, one thing happens that causes that to happen. Something else happens that causes something else to happen that you weren't expecting. And this is really, you know, this is a bit like Musk, you know, buying Twitter and everybody thinking, oh man, this is going to be the end of our freedom, and everybody protests against it. And then Musk a few weeks later comes up with an excuse for the reason why he might not buy Twitter. Or the Supreme Court leak of a draft ruling suggests they're going to ban abortion nationwide. And then obviously there's an uprising and protests and it becomes the hot topic. And then maybe it's the case that might change the views of one or two of the justices. That is politics, you know? And the thing I've always liked about politics is you never know what's around the corner, because one person's behavior can impact so many others, you know? And this is why when I meet people and they're like, oh, I'm not really into politics, I'm like, well, who are you then? You know? Like, what, if you're not into politics, then what are you doing here? Like, politics is everything. Politics is how we are afforded to live on this planet. So surely anybody who says they're not into politics is not taking seriously their responsibilities as a member of society. Oh, I'm not really into politics. I don't really watch the news. Why? Why don't you watch the news? Why don't you care about politics? Do you also not vote? So many people are just kind of apathetic towards it, just don't really care. They say things like, oh, well, you know, they're all bad, they're all corrupt. No, they're not. And if you think someone's corrupt, then vote against them. This idea that politicians are just, you know, so bad that we shouldn't pay them any attention, it's such a short-sighted and foolish way to operate inside a modern democracy. Vote them out. Campaign against them. Put it on your social media. Email them directly. Take control. Don't complain about it. And so many people never protest, never march, are never activated enough to want to care. And I've never understood that, you know? I really feel like I'm so passionate about subjects. I know right from wrong. And I know that it's fundamentally wrong to tell a woman, especially if you're a white man, to tell a woman to how she can, you know, use her body, what to do with her body. I just know fundamentally that's wrong. It's just wrong. And if you think that's not wrong, well, you're missing the argument. Because what people do is they focus on the other end of this argument. You know, oh, the baby. No. The mother. Every time. The mother is the civilian. The mother is walking on the earth. The mother has to live. The baby isn't yet alive, isn't yet part of society, isn't yet paying tax. So interesting how this group of people don't want other people to tell them what to do, and yet on this subject they're so happy to tell people what to do. It doesn't make any sense to me. Climate change making droughts longer and more common, says UN. Yes, the frequency and duration of drought will continue to increase due to human-caused climate change, with water scarcity already affecting billions of people across the world, the United Nations warned in a report on Wednesday. The UN Desertification Agency, which is currently hosting a conference of parties in Abidjan on Ivory Coast, estimates that roughly 1/3 of the world's population, 2.3 billion people, is already facing water scarcity, with that number expected to double by 2050. Just think about that for the moment. By 2050, there'll be nearly 5 billion people who can't get water. That's what climate change is doing. And still people think it's a bit of a joke. Although no region is spared from drought, the report said Africa is the hardest hit continent, with the Americas, India and Australia also highlighted as areas of particular concern. The ongoing debilitating drought in the eastern Horn of Africa was highlighted as one of the dramatic consequences of climate change by the UN agency. The continent suffered 134 recorded droughts in the past century, with over half occurring in East Africa. We used to be able to grow enough tomatoes that we could stay fed for 8 months, said the Kenyan farmer, whose crops have been without rain for over a year. We used to have luscious mango trees and papaya trees, and that food sources have become increasingly scarce and drinking water also gratefully suffering. She said sometimes they had to resort to drinking from livestock reservoirs, running the risk of getting sick from contamination. The problem is that, America generally won't take this very seriously because it's only brown people that are suffering. Africa is seen as a kind of third world place by a lot of Americans, and so they're like, oh, well, that's what it's supposed to be like there. I'm sure that's the narrow-minded, selfish thinking that is coming out of a lot of people's mouths here. Meanwhile, the US is the second biggest polluter of carbon emissions in the world after China. And the thing is, we pollute here in America and Africa and India and, Southeast Asia. These places pay the price. They pay the price. The Des Moines Register is next up. Free lunches may end for most Iowa students. They say school districts in Iowa and across the country are up against a federal deadline that will end a pandemic-era free meals program for students next month, while many school officials are waiting to see if federal or state lawmakers will extend the program. At least one district, Des Moines Public Schools, is working to continue offering most of its children free meals next school year. Students have faced repeated upheavals since March 2020 when schools across the country closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In an effort to help districts feed students during the health crisis, whether they were at school or at home, the U.S. Department of Agriculture temporarily relaxed rules previously. And I wouldn't mind, but the meal is not much of a meal. There's a photograph of the school lunch at Hillis Elementary in Des Moines on Tuesday. And it's like a few little bits of pasta, a blueberry muffin, a pot of Cheerios, some milk, and some... is that candy in the middle? What is that? I mean, that is not food. Nothing on this plate is food. Oh, is that green beans? Okay, well, do you think the kids are going to eat those green beans? Because green beans should be green. Those are those boiled beans that have been like... It's like... I bet there's no nutrition left. They're better off just giving them a kind of vitamin supplement, They're better off giving them like a gummy bear vitamin supplement with everything that they need alongside this. Why don't they? Is it because supplements aren't real and they don't really work? Could be. Report COVID safety measures were watered down. This is an interesting story. It says when federal health officials drafted their first recommendations in response to a COVID-19 outbreak at a meatpacking plant, Smithfield Foods, Ken Sullivan grabbed his pencil. It was late 2020 And U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention staff had just toured Smithfield's Sioux Falls, South Dakota pork processing plant, where 900 employees had contracted the virus and 2 had died. The staff created a list of recommendations. They wrote the company should spread out all dining hall tables, give employees face masks, and designate paths where workers would move only in one direction. Sullivan marked up the proposal, scribbling stars next to recommendations that the company couldn't implement in its aging plant. He scanned the document and emailed it to Department of Agriculture Undersecretary Greg Erbach, according to internal communications published in the U.S. House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus report released yesterday morning. The best we can do with these environments is aggressively mitigate risk, not eliminate it, Sullivan wrote. We are on it, they responded an hour later. The report, written by the staff of the 12-member Democratic-controlled subcommittee, found that Sullivan's lobbying, with the administration's help, resulted in watered-down guidance from the CDC, setting the stage for weak regulations on all meatpacking plants in the first months of the COVID-19 pandemic. The report argues that meatpacking CEOs led by Sullivan convinced President Donald Trump's Agriculture Department appointees that the country was heading for a food shortage if the plants didn't continue running. I mean, this does not surprise me, you know? The owners of big business don't care enough about their employees to want to put in any measures because they just want to keep the company running and they don't really care who gets sick or dies. I mean, that's the tragedy of this, isn't it? You know? That's the reality of this also. Okay, let's move on a little bit because that's, I think, we've got the New York Times to do. This is the last one. As prices soar, Fed seeks to make up for lost time. For millions, it's been boom time amid bad news. And a photograph also of 2 daughters and their mum on Tuesday escaping the frontline village of Torsesk in Ukraine. Russians hold much of East and setbacks aside. It says Russia's nearly 3-month-old invasion of neighboring Ukraine has been punctuated by flawed planning, poor intelligence, barbarity, and wanton destruction. But obscured in the daily fighting is the geographic reality that Russia made gains on the ground. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Tuesday that its forces in eastern Ukraine had advanced to the border between Donetsk and Luhansk, and 2 Russian-speaking provinces where Moscow-backed separatists have been fighting the army for 8 years. People forget that this war has been raging for 8 years, and it's only really now that it's obviously, as Putin's got involved directly, that it's starting to kind of hit the headlines in a very different way. US sending billions to Kiev with little debate, it says. The escalating brutality of the war in Ukraine has dampened voices on both the right and the left, skeptical of the United States as involving itself in armed conflict overseas, fueling a rush by Congress to pour huge amounts of money into a potentially lengthy and costly offensive against Russia, with few questions on reservations raised. Okay. Musk pledges to reverse Twitter's ban on Trump. Elon Musk said on Tuesday he would reverse the permanent ban of former President Donald Trump on Twitter and let him back on the social network in one of the first specific comments by Mr. Musk, the world's richest man, on how he would change the social media service. Mr. Musk, who struck a deal last month to buy Twitter for $44 billion, said at a Financial Times conference, the company decided to bar Mr. Trump last year for tweets about the riots, as the U.S. Capitol was a mistake because it alienated a large part of the country and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice. I mean, neither of those things are true. I mean, that's the thing that concerns me. It's like Musk is not speaking from a position of fact here, you know? They weren't just tweets about the riots. They were constant tweets about the validity of the election. You know? About the validity of the election. And to say he didn't have a voice afterwards, well, that's not true either, you know? Because, you know, he kind of did disappear from the conversation in quite a big way. And Apple is ending its production of the iPod that changed consumer electronics and led to the iPhone's creation. I didn't even know they were still selling the iPod. They're going to stop selling the iPod. I'm devastated. If you're enjoying the show, there's 2 ways to support it that would really help us out. If you're watching right now, do you see that subscribe button? Please click it. Subscribing will let you know when we're going live, and we have some special plans coming up in the next few weeks for those who are subscribed. Another way you can help out is no matter where you're watching from is listening, is by leaving a review. So go to backchannel.tv and click Leave a Review. Did we find out who our winner was? Because Divya's just joined us, a couple of no names. Do we have a winner for our competition that I can announce? Okay. Okay, let's dig deep. And Nebulous Falcon's just joined us. Stacey's with us. Reluctant Snail. Our winner today of the $25 Amazon coupon voucher to redeem at your leisure for subscribing is Sarah Matthews. Well done, Sarah. Congratulations to you. You have won. All you have to do to claim your prize is go to backchannel.tv and click Claim My Prize. That's backchannel.tv and click Claim My Prize. Let me know if you have any problems there. This is Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. I'm your host here Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. It's the only place on your Echo device where you can watch and listen to live shows and chat with hosts in real time. I'm here every weekday, as I say. You can send a message, you can ask questions, you can chime in on what we're talking about or anything else you would like to send my way. If you can see me right now, you're watching on an Echo show or Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. If you're just listening on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv. That's how you do it. Very easy. Michael's just popped in from South Carolina for the first time. Welcome, Michael. This is an Echo show device, and I'm Anthony, and we are discussing some of the stories making the headlines today. We've just been looking through the New York Times. We just gave away a $25 Amazon voucher, which we'll do again on Wednesday. Let's take a look at some of the stories we were going to look at. Just before I do that, let me remind you that Backchannel has a growing list of shows, including Kate Cocker's Everyday Positivity Show on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 a.m. That's 9 o'clock Eastern for an hour of positive news and good vibes. Following my show every Monday to Friday is Your Pal Hal with Hal Rudnick, taking you on a tour of comedy, news, and pop culture from 11 o'clock. That's 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern. And following my show, I've mentioned that one. Don't forget to check out The Drive with Mario Smith, weekdays from 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Everyone's drive home needs a second look. Mario will make sure you are in the know. There we go. Let's look at this climate emergency story, this inferno that is currently burning across the US West at a furious pace. We've talked a little bit about it in some of the morning papers. California hilltop, where mansions with multi-million-dollar Pacific Ocean views were torched, to remote New Mexico mountains charred by a month-old monster blaze. The two places could not be more different, but the elements in common are the same. Wind-driven flames have torn through vegetation that is extraordinarily dry from years-long drought exacerbated by climate change. And the unstoppable northern Mexico wildfire, as it chewed through more dense forests on Thursday, firefighters in the coastal community of Laguna Niguel doused charred and smoldering remains of 20 large homes that quickly went up in flames and forced a frantic evacuation. It's 2,000 square miles have burned so far nationwide this year, the most at this point since 2018, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. Predictions for the rest of the spring do not bode well for the West, with the drought and warmer weather brought on by climate change worsening wildfire. It's very good that ABC News in this coverage have mentioned climate change multiple times. It is sometimes a concern, isn't it? You worry that they're just going to report on the fire and not talk about the origins of it, or explain to people why climate change is such a significant contributor to these types of things. It says that after big flames died down on Thursday, one house was one of many smoking casualties marked off with yellow tape. In another driveway, a burned-out car rested on its rims. The steep surrounding hillsides were blackened and stripped of vegetation. Many other homes appeared unscathed, and palm trees that had survived the onslaught of embers swayed above in calmer winds. 2 firefighters were hospitalized, but no other injuries were reported. The fire's cause is under investigation, and the damage inspections were still ongoing on Thursday. Orange County Fire Authority, the Assistant Chief T.J. McGovern, said Southern California Edison reported that unspecified electrical circuit activity occurred around the time the fire broke out late Wednesday afternoon. Overhead power cables are a big problem for wildfires, and fires generally here in the U.S. And some of the newer neighborhoods, they don't have overhead power cables. All the electricity is buried under the ground, which is so much better because here where I live, whenever the wind blows or whenever there's a storm, we all lose power. And, the last time this happened for a significant time, it was 5 days before they restored the power. 5 days. And they do nothing about it. They don't send you a food hamper, they don't give you a discount on your electricity bill, your energy bill, nothing. They just literally leave you. And in the end, we ended up checking into a hotel because it was so difficult, to do anything. They're actually trying, I think we talked about this yesterday, they're trying in California to stop selling, gas-powered goods for homes, try and reduce carbon emissions. I have a dryer that uses gas. It just seems so weird that you would use gas to dry clothes, but apparently so. They say, the electric ones are not very efficient. Well, in England I had an electric dryer and it was fine. It's probably better than this one, it's quicker. The New Mexico fire has burned through mostly rural areas that include a mix of scattered ranch homes, historic Hispanic villages that date back centuries, and high-dollar summer cabins. Some of the ranching and farming families who have called the area home for generations have spoken at length about the sacredness of the landscape, while many others have been too broken-hearted to express what they have lost. So there we go, 170 homes burned so far. That's the story there. And we've been talking about, how, unfortunately, these controlled burns can cause many of these problems in the first place. I've actually seen fires in the distance. Yeah, one of the fires that I saw that was particularly bad was they called it the Getty Center fire. And they protected the Getty Center, which is a huge complex of, a gallery, museum, art gallery. They protected it, but fundamentally, I watched it burn and I was like, wow, this is very close to home. And I saw one other fire burn just over the hill from my house, which was on Griffith Park, just up near the Griffith Observatory. But you see, the spending on firefighting equipment here in California is huge. The budget for fighting fires is massive. So the city has its own helicopters, it has its own planes for dropping retardant. It's kind of amazing, the way that they do it. They really don't allow these things to spread very quickly at all. One more, who's dropped in? Oh, Michael's dropped in, that's a reminder. Yes, hi Michael from South Carolina. Great to see you, thank you for joining us. Oh, JD's popped in as well. He says, how's your day going? Very well, thank you, although I'm a bit blocked up today, so I hope that that's not ruining your enjoyment of the show. I should have taken a decongestant, but it wasn't this bad earlier. I think it's the weather, I think we have some weird Weird weather today. It's very, very warm here in California right now. It's nearly 80 degrees right now. Oh, really? People are getting allergies in England now. That's interesting. Yeah, I did take an allergy tablet this morning, so I was hoping that would sort me out, but it seems to have got worse rather than better. But, climate change, it could even be like the dust from the fires. That does happen. The air quality from the fire is often, we get warnings sent to us. Although I'm just looking and it says air quality is good. Strange. You never really know, you never really know what you're going to get here. The weather is crazy. I mean, it's the desert after all. I've got a little glass of water here. I might just reach for it. It's a very small glass. Yeah. That's exciting. Starting from Monday, we'll be talking to Hal every day instead of just on 2 days a week. That's exciting. Yes, it's because they're so good. That's why. They're award-winning, I would say. On this day in 1913, the conservative movement was launched in the USA. It was President Theodore Roosevelt. Oh, did I say... what did I say? I said conservative. Conservation movement. I apologize. Yes, President Roosevelt delivered the opening address. Conservation as a national duty at the outset of a 3-day meeting billed as the Governor's Conference on the Conservation of Natural Resources. He explained to the attendees that the occasion for the meeting lies in the fact that the natural resources of our country are in danger of exhaustion if we permit the old wasteful methods of exploiting them longer to continue. The conference propelled conservation issues into the forefront of public consciousness and stimulated a large number of private and state-level conservation initiatives. I mean, this was in 1864, right? So, we are now basically, here we are, all these years later, 130 years later. And we are basically, still not heeding the recommendations. The speech was made in 1908. President Theodore Roosevelt delivering this opening address. They knew. They knew. The gathering of the nation's governors was spearheaded by Chief Forester of the United States, Gifford Pinchot. Is that his name? Yeah. With the assistance of Secretary of the Inland Waterways Commission. No individual was so completely and prominently identified with the American conservation movement in this area as Gifford, who made it his mission to establish the permanently sustainable use of the nation's natural resource on a foundation of rational and integrated public ownership and management. Born in 1865, Pinchot was inspired at a young age by his father's suggestion that he should dedicate his life to the profession of forestry. Then, all but unknown in the United States, Pinchot graduated from Yale and went to France and Germany to pursue his education as a forester. When he returned to the United States, another notable conservationist, a friend of his father, Frederick Law Olmsted, encouraged him to work in North Carolina, managing the forest at George W. Vanderbilt's Biltmore Estate near Asheville. In 1898, he became chief of the Division of Forestry in the Department of Agriculture, and in 1905 he succeeded in having the recently created forest reserves transferred from the Department of the Interior to his own under what is now the Forest Service. So, I mean, look, they already realized it wasn't difficult, it's not difficult to work out even now, that natural resources are not infinite, right? You chop down a tree, you look at how long it takes to regrow that tree. You take oil out of the ground or coal out of the ground. It's not being replenished. The reality is that we have far outstayed our welcome when it comes to natural resources. And the cost of that is huge. I mean, it's potentially the COVID pandemic. It's potentially this strange behavior of migrating animals now. It's disease and illness, respiratory illness. It's contamination of water. It's, the damage to the ozone layer. It's all of these things we've brought upon ourselves. We literally have done it ourselves. So Roosevelt and Pinchot became a good friend and advisors together. They shared their views on conservation. So Pinchot served on several of Roosevelt's commissions, and together they organized the Governor's Conference on the Conservation of Natural Resources. The conference was a seminal event in the history of conservationism. It brought the issue to public attention in a highly visible way. The next year saw two outgrowths of the conference: the National Conservation Commission, which Roosevelt and Pinchot set up, with representatives from the states and federal agencies, and the first National Conservation Congress, which Pinchot left as an assembly of private conservation interests. The practical approach to conservation, as the sustainable husbanding of natural resource espoused by Pinchot and Roosevelt, became a permanent element of national policy under their leadership, and has decisively shaped the nation's management of its environmental inheritance ever since. So this is really the foundation for the modern conservation movement, isn't it? And yet, we still seem to have this attitude in America that, by many, many people, that climate change is a political thing. You know, that the temperature changes of the Earth has been politicized because it's natural. You know, Trump would say it's natural. It changes. He thinks that's what it was. It changes. It's like he didn't even finish the sentence. Yeah, it changes. It changes in the wrong direction, mate. You know? We had the Florida governor saying that it was a Democrat stuff. Climate change is Democrat stuff. You know, we've had all of these suggestions that they really don't want to take this on, you know? And the reason is, and Joe Manchin is obviously at the center of this debate, and the reason is because they make huge sums of money from the oil industry. It's all about money. Everything that you see is about money. So this is something that we need to obviously consider when we talk to our children, or when we talk to our friends, or we're posting on our social media. We need to be conscious of the climate. Princeton has joined us. Welcome, Princeton. Welcome, JD. Says, how's your day going? Michael's with us. Divya as well. Sarah earlier. Sarah, did you get in touch with our service and claim my prize at backchannel.tv? I don't know. I don't know if you did or not, but it'll be very interesting to find out. So I'd love you to get your prize. Thank you very much for your subscriptions. It's very, very important that you do this. Essential. If you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo Show or a Fire TV, the magic word is say to send a message. But if you're just listening and you would like to message me, then you can do that via backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv. Subscribing will let you know when we're going live, and there's some special plans for the VIPs who are subscribed. So if that's you, then you can absolutely click that subscribe button and be part of an ever exclusive set. Another way you can really help us out, no matter where you're watching or listening, is by leaving a review. So just go to backchannel.tv and click on leave a review. Your positive reviews will help this show keep going. So that's backchannel.tv. Click leave a review. Easy. The other thing we were going to mention, what was the other thing we were going to do? Or did I leave one thing out? We talked about the climate emergency. It was Elon Musk, that's right. Yeah. This was, you saw the story on a couple of the newspapers. It was his deal to buy Twitter is now on hold. This is after he queried the number of fake or spam accounts on the social media platform. He's now wavering on the purchase, probably because his pockets are feeling a little bit lighter. I was saying yesterday and this morning that, saying that you're going to buy something for $44 billion and actually doing it are two different things. And he's been very good at making announcements. and not seeing them through, Do you remember that time he said that he was going to take Tesla private and that, he was going to buy back all the shares and take it private? And he did that in a way to raise the share price. Well, he took to Twitter early on Friday to say that his takeover of the company was temporarily on hold, pending details supporting calculation that spam and fake accounts do indeed represent less than 5% of users. Musk might be serious about this, or he might be joking and just using his vast social media reach to have fun with the investors in Twitter, employees, journalists, free speech advocates, and others who've been watching this garbage fire ignite. Musk is serious about this, but he's finding the most unserious of reasons to explain why he's bailing. As in, I was thinking about buying that mansion, but the deal is on hold pending details about whether there are termites in some of the planters on the patio. I still have plenty of cash and can get a mortgage from the bank. Believe me, it's not about the money. The Bloomberg says, I suspect Musk's jitters about buying Twitter are all about the money and has nothing to do with how many bots are zooming around the platform. He just doesn't want to say that. If the richest guy in the world wanted to be more honest about what's going on, he might have to acknowledge that his primary credit card, i.e. his shares in Tesla, don't have the buying power. Musk said last month that he wanted to buy Twitter for $43 billion when he only had about $3 billion in cash on hand. Most of the fortunes of the world's richest man, which added up to $259 billion at the time, was tied up in his Tesla shares. Since then, Tesla shares have lost about 36% of their value, and Musk's net worth has fallen to about $215 billion. Musk originally said he would put $21 billion of his own money into the deal, presumably by selling a chunk of Tesla stock. He sold about $8.5 billion in Tesla shares since. Banks were going to provide him with $12.5 billion, a margin loan secured by an additional $62.5 billion of his Tesla shares. And the rest of the purchase price and other costs will be funded by $13 billion in debt that Twitter will take on. The terms have changed since then. Musk has reportedly found investors willing to put in another $12.5 billion, so he doesn't have to take out that big margin loan and tie up more of his Tesla stake. But still, the stock market has been withering recently, and pricey growth darlings such as Tesla have fallen out of favor. Now, all of that could change, of course, but we have to imagine that market realities, disgruntled Tesla investors, and emptying wallets, an emptying wallet were the wake-up calls for Musk. After all, his tweet about how many fake accounts are on Twitter linked to a Reuters news article that's 11 days old. If this was a possible deal breaker for him, he could have said no then. But the stock market wasn't unwinding as rapidly at the time either. So yeah, this is a stock market story, isn't it? This is basically that the stock price has fallen, which means that he's overpaying, and it means he doesn't have enough money to overpay with. Musk has been able to use his Twitter bid to secure more attention for all of the things he doesn't like about it. He tweeted yesterday that although he would prefer a less divisive candidate for president in 2024, he thinks that Twitter should end its ban on former President Donald Trump. And in that context, less divisive appears to be a polite way of saying that someone who hasn't torched the Constitution and tried staging a coup, but Musk doesn't appear to be bothered by those nuances, which of course make him a questionable steward of Twitter's future. So, there we are. He's routinely noted that he considers himself a free speech absolutist and wants Twitter to move to a more freewheeling approach. He has a track record of trampling free speech, though. He also recently said that there are tweets that are wrong and bad, and those should either be deleted or made invisible, and a suspension or temporary suspension is appropriate, but not a permanent ban. I mean, I've kind of concluded that Elon Musk is clearly a genius when it comes to manufacturing and logistics and marketing. You know, the guy's clearly a genius. But when it comes to common sense and politics and understanding the social landscape, the guy is seriously disabled, you know? And just because you're rich, it doesn't make you smart. And, you know, his tweets are all incendiary, which I'm sure he does on purpose because it will just increase interest in Twitter. The real reason Musk has said he's a free speech absolutist is so he doesn't have to take on the burden and expense of better content moderation on Twitter. Is that the reason? Is the real reason he says he's an absolutist because he wants Twitter to be friendlier for some of the far-right disinformation specialists that he's developed an affinity for? If he's serious about tracking tweets that are wrong and bad, how would he go about doing so? Those are complex issues, and perhaps they're also playing a part in convincing Musk to step back from his Twitter bid. But this column says they think it's all about the money. Yeah, I think they might be right. I'm here on Backchannel every weekday, Monday through Friday. You can join me on Monday. Just say to your Echo, open Backchannel. That's open Backchannel. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and leave a review at backchannel.tv. Coming up next is your pal Hal. He'll be here for a couple of hours, keeping you entertained. Thanks to Princeton, who just popped in, and Michael and Divya, and to Stacy and Redundant Snail, and Encouraging Chicken, and Maz, and Caring Octopus, and Cloudy Bee, and anybody that joined us. And congratulations again to Sarah for winning the Amazon voucher. You have yourself a really good day. I'll see you on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. Bye.